we were supposed to talk about this on Saturday Night Hypnosis. We were supposed to talk about this on Saturday Night Hypnosis, and the Xbox discussion ended up taking pretty much the entire show. So we're going to discuss it now. Hypno decided to discuss it. I've not seen his video. I've been holding off for these purposes. I don't know if Hypno is going to go into spoilers or not. Frankly, I probably am. If you guys haven't seen the Resident Evil leaks by now, I probably am. It kind of depends on the context, but we'll see.
Guys, it is time to talk about Resident Evil 9 Requiem. And the reason why Requiem is in the news today is because if you guys are unaware, there has been massive leaks that have come out regarding Resident Evil Requiem, and the entire story has been leaked online for the most part, including pretty much all the endings or maybe most of the endings. I'm not exactly sure. But I know of at least 2 endings that have been spoiled online.
Now, for those that don't know, this is pretty par for the course for Resident Evil. Ever since Resident Evil 7, every single Resident Evil game, I believe, 7, 8, 2, 3, and 4, have all gotten leaked like a week to 10 days early.
What the fuck?
Oh, go on. Yeah, go for it.
No, how do they keep having that happen? Is it intentional?
Well, it's the right question. See, that's my theory is that it is intentional by Capcom to drum up hype, because it had already been leaked for like 3 or 4 days until Capcom put out a statement being like, please avoid leaks for Resident Evil 9. Please avoid sharing the leaks. Please avoid making videos on it. We want everybody to, experience the story as is on release day. And like, they ran this damage control post, but they did it like 3 or 4 days after the leaks. And since this has happened with every game, this has got to just be a strat from Capcom, even though it's one I don't fucking understand.
Well, nobody cared about the leaks, I think. And then the only way they thought people would be more interested is if they did a damaging, or a controlled statement.
Yeah, and that's effectively what it was. All right, so let's keep going here.
And it is not good. What I will say about this story is that I made a prediction regarding Resident Evil 9, and I will say that I have been vindicated on that prediction, and I will talk about that when the game actually releases. And I feel like a lot of people also would be vindicated because we all kind of saw this coming as to what's going to happen in Resident Evil. But the reason why we're talking about this...
By the way, he is vindicated. He's absolutely vindicated. I'm also vindicated. Actually, not only are Hypno and I vindicated. So for anybody that remembers that we predicted certain endings, we are correct with at least one of them. Now, like you said, there's multiple endings. There's at least 2 that have been leaked. And you know what? There's usually about 2 endings per Resident Evil game. Or there were back in the day, there was multiple endings. And they stopped doing that for a while. Then they started doing it again. So there's multiple endings. The one that Hypno and I called isn't even the worst it could have been. Like the other leak for the opposite ending is somehow even worse. And we already had very low expectations, very low standards.
Are you going to tell me what it is?
Well, I might, but it depends on. I want to see how far Hypno's going in his coverage before I start spoiling stuff.
Okay.
And before we do that, Golden Apples with a 2-banger says, I installed the Brave browser, been loving it. I will be doing the same real soon. Shout out, thanks a mil. Golden Apples, the absolute legend.
It's because Capcom has decided to pull a Nintendo. Better yet, they decided to pull a Square Enix because Square Enix did the same exact thing with Dragon Quest, right? Before Dragon Quest came out, they said that if you were to showcase the ending of Dragon Quest Remake, that they would send you a cease and desist letter. They would take down your YouTube video. They will legally go after you if you were to spoil the ending of the game within the first 48 hours or 72 hours of the game releasing. It's the most insane thing ever. Obviously, it was just empty threats. They never did anything, but still.
Yeah, I was about to say, because first of all, spoiling the game, If you got streamers, because let's be real, Resident Evil games ain't very long, right? This is probably going to be like an 8 to 10 hour game, and that's not counting speed runs. If someone's streaming the game day one and they beat it in a single stream, people are going to see the fucking ending. It's going to get clipped. It's going to get put on YouTube. So it is an empty threat. They ain't going to do shit.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous. Wow, they're just doing the, oh, you better not look.
Right, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Now, apparently, they're doing it with Resident Evil Requiem and Capcom. So Capcom shared a statement about the Resident Evil Requiem leaks. And to quote this particular article from The Gamer, it says they will take firm action against those with illegally obtained copies. So what ended up happening was people got their hands on Resident Evil Requiem early. A lot of people got their hands.
By the way, another reason this might not necessarily be a Capcom thing, because I forgot this happened. So the physical copies of the game shipped like a week and a half ago. So what probably happened is you got some like Walmart and GameStop employees that grabbed physical copies and sold them on what is effectively the black market for gaming.
Okay.
That's probably what happened. Although I would think that like you would, games nowadays are, they're usually locked behind downloads and stuff like that. You would think even if you had the physical disc, it wouldn't actually be playable until it's, like digitally unlocked.
That's fair.
So yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Yo, speaking of the man himself, speaking of the leader of the bigot army, our boy Hypno coming in with a mad lad raid. Of course, he's like, oh, Leon's reacting to me. Well, I should go ahead and raid him right now. Get all of them props. Hey, I know I ain't no Asmongold, but I appreciate it, homie. What? They delayed Mouse PI for hire? No, I hadn't heard that.
Oh,
That's
no.
one of my most look forward to games this year. How bad's the delay?
I want to go.
Oh, that hurts. That hurts.
It's on copies early because they either know somebody or whatever the case may be.
April
This happens
16th.
all the time, by the way. And apparently they're not happy about that. So what I want to do is I want to go over what they said, number one. And number two, I want to go over my thoughts about this and how overall I think people are forgetting that Resident Evil, in terms of a lore perspective, because a lot of people are angry at the leaks from a story perspective, and I don't blame them.
Hi, that's me. I'm angry at the leaks from a story perspective. I shouldn't be because the story's been dog shit for like a decade now, but I'm feeling really called out right now.
You are like a big nerd when it comes to Resident Evil. It's not
I
surprising.
am like a black dude with crack when it comes to lore. I'm a lore hound for Resident Evil.
God, man, I could guarantee whenever you're posting something on X that it's got like an 85% chance about being Resident Evil.
Yeah, Resident Evil, Dragon Ball, or Sonic related. Like, if it's some sort of nerd culture oriented, it's one of those things, or I'm being incredibly racist or transphobic. There's no in between.
But the story has been pretty fucking convoluted and overall just not that great ever since the end of around like Resident Evil 4 and 5. It's just been absolutely insane. It's been.
And people say Hypno not a real gamer. Guys, I'm going to be real. This is the objectively correct take. Everything after Resident Evil 5 story-wise has been a fucking joke with minimal exceptions. Hypno got the... I'm not even going to call it an opinion, right? This is the correct opinion. This is a fucking fact. Well done, Hypno.
Off the deep end, and they keep retconning stuff. They keep changing things, and they really don't know exactly how they want to go about this. But I got to tell you, man, the leaks are really bad. If you want to go find the leaks, you can find it on your own accord, but we're not going to talk about that specifically in this video. So anyway, physical copies.
All right, so we will be talking about the leaks, but we will do it after Hypno is finished with his stuff. I want to commentate on what his takes are, and then I will tell the leaks afterwards.
Sounds good.
Of Resident Evil Requiem have been out in the wild since over a week ahead of launch, and already some major spoilers are flooding the internet as a result. In a new statement shared to X, Capcom addressed the situation directly, explaining that these copies appear to have been obtained through illegal means and that it will take firm action against those who post the footage. Now, obviously here, they're specifically talking about the people who actually got the illegal copies. They're not necessarily taking legal action against anybody who discusses the leaks, but what they will do is they will strike you down. Okay, they will absolutely strike you down. They'll strike down your YouTube video. They'll strike down your Twitter post. They're striking down so much content right now. It's actually insane. Currently,
so he's saying that, and I'm wondering how much is true because by the time I heard about the leaks, okay, so I heard about the leaks immediately, but I was holding off on whether I wanted to actually check them out or not because it's like, look, I'm already going to play the game. I already have a lot of feelings about the game. I want to kind of go in blind. And then after about 24 hours, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't actually care enough because I'm so pissed off at the direction that Capcom is going with this series. I may as well spoil myself so that I can go in with the proper expectations. And by the time I went to Reddit to check out the leaks, which is one of the only reasons you will ever catch me going to Reddit, because that place is a fucking cesspool. It is cancer. Most of the video footage had been removed within just 24 hours. Now, there's still a lot of people without video discussing it. But I saw a lot of screenshots and little bits of video footage they probably hadn't got yet or had just been posted. But by and large, the video footage seems mostly scrubbed from the internet.
Huh. Yeah, I haven't seen shit.
We have found a large number of gameplay videos of Resident Evil Requiem that appear to have been obtained through illegal means. So all this does is confirm, by the way, that the leaks are true. So if you go out there and you find the leaks, just realize that they are absolutely true, because they are trying to take this all down. The statement reads, as translated by DeepL, for the sake of our customers who are eagerly awaiting this game, we ask that you refrain from publishing or posting gameplay videos on video streaming services or social media before the game's release date. We will take firm action, such as deleting videos or issuing warnings as soon as we become aware of such activity. Posting gameplay videos prior to the release of this game is not only a copyright infringement, but also an act that offends other customers. So we will take that firm action.
You want to know what offends customers?
The game?
The game. Doing what you've done to your flagship franchise, completely disrespecting the initial fans, all the classic fans that made the franchise what it is today. That is far more offensive to your customers than these leaks. I say that as a classic fan who's been playing this game, this franchise for nearly 30 fucking years. Yeah, I'm far more deeply offended at this game itself than I am the leaks.
I thought Japanese had a lot of pride. I'm not seeing a whole lot of that here.
Well, they have a lot of pride until they need to grovel at the feet of the consumer.
Yeah, that's fair.
And we will delete videos or issue warnings as soon as we become aware of the activity. Additionally, we ask that anyone viewing this post who happens to see the video in question, please be careful not to watch it or share it. So they're clearly not happy about this whatsoever. This game has about 7 days before it's about to come out. And obviously they want to keep everything under wraps and for multiple reasons. But I think that one of the reasons why they want to keep...
By the way, it's 4 days now. It comes out on Friday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's 4 days at this point.
Ah, gotcha.
Things under wraps is because they know that the decisions they made with the story are going to piss off a lot of people. If you are a super fan of Resident Evil in any way whatsoever, I would almost guarantee that you're going to be pissed by the absolute buttfuck retcon ass pull story elements that are in this game.
Hypno, if you're still in chat, I gotta know. I got not to sound conceited, not to sound narcissistic, but when you made that comment right there, were you thinking of me? Was Leon on your brain? Were you all like, if you're a hardcore lore fan of Resident Evil, you're gonna be really pissed? Like, in some point, was I floating around in the gray matter? I really hope that of all people, it was me when you made that sentiment. Just saying.
Does anybody willfully want to think of you on their off time?
So I'm taking applications for a new co-host. Anybody in chat? Like,
already read the spoilers, okay? Because reading spoilers for me doesn't ruin playing the experience, okay? That's just how I am. You know,
I would agree with that in most instances. There are times I don't want to be spoiled, but those are more special cases. I often don't care about spoilers. What about you?
Yeah, I genuinely don't care. Especially not about this game. Like, I am curious about what is in the game, but not curious enough to actually want to get the game or care about spoilers.
Which is funny because, I mean, at this point, you've played a fair few of Resident Evil games with me. So the fact that this game isn't really on your radar kind of speaks volumes.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, like, I almost called him Daddy Leon. like Leon does look amazing, okay? But like, just not enough for me to go, I should play this.
Especially with games that I'm not like super invested in, it's fine. If I'm invested in the game, I don't want to know anything. I avoid everything I possibly can. But if it's a game that I'm not super invested in, I don't really care. And honestly, my curiosity got the best of me because I predicted something was going to happen. So I kind of wanted to see if I was right, and I was right. So anyway, that's besides the point. So
enter communist mode. We were right.
Though this game, we hope to deliver a story that intertwines mystery and tension and a thrilling gaming experience that challenges unknown threats.
But here's the deal. There's no mystery. The fact that me and Hypno were able to call what was happening with this game from like the first trailer, there's no mystery. It shouldn't be so patently obvious how the game is going to end. And actually, again, I guess you could say there's a mystery because we're only half correct in our assumption. But like, if we could tell how it's going to end from the first fucking trailer, you fucked up.
Yeah, no, that's pretty bad. And I can kind of recall like some of the things you were saying about it before. So now I'm just like, oh shit. And he's saying him and Hypno were right. So that's a little depressing.
People need to realize that like despite all my constant L takes, apparently, it seems that I come out being correct pretty fucking often.
The statement concludes, we will appreciate your cooperation in not ruining that excitement for others. Thank you for your understanding. Okay, so now that we know all of that, let's talk about this particular situation. So I ended up quote tweeting this over on Twitter, and I said the following. I said, please don't look at Resident Evil leaks online prior to the release, so when we surprise you with this absolute buttfuck of a story, we can at least keep your money before you find out. Makes sense, right? Now, for me,
and you know what? Fair assessment. The leaks are that bad. I actually ran across several tweets. People were like, that's how it ends? Oh, I'm canceling my pre-order.
Holy shit.
Yep.
Personally, I feel like this is exactly what the strategy is. This is a strategy for a lot of companies. Whenever spoilers like this come out, this is absolutely going to hurt sales. But this game is going to sell gangbusters no matter what, because Capcom games just always do.
That is
right.
True.
Capcom games always just do gangbusters numbers for the most part, especially Resident Evil. Resident Evil is going to sell an ungodly amount of copies no matter what. People are still going to play the game.
It was their highest selling franchise for like 2 decades until it was finally passed by Monster Hunter, like within the last few years.
Oh gosh. And is Monster Hunter suffering as much as like in the story department?
I don't know, because Monster Hunter is like one of the very few Capcom IPs that's never really grabbed me. I'm not really a Monster Hunter player. I know that from a performance standpoint, the most recent Monster Hunter game was absolutely trashed when it was released. But I've only played like a handful of Monster Hunter games for a little bit, so I couldn't really tell you what the general fan sentiment is around that franchise.
Okay, gotcha.
Because they're Resident Evil fans, no matter what. That's not going to change. Right. But what this will do is that this will either validate what a lot of people have been saying about this game prior to the release, or it's going to piss off fans to the point where maybe instead of buying the game at full price, they might wait for a Capcom sale. They might wait till the game is, 70% off, and then they'll buy the game. Right.
Yeah. One of the very first messages in this chat, we weren't even live yet when this message came through. One of you guys said that if right here, the very first message, this was left 2 hours before we actually went live. If the leaks are true, which I think they are, I will patiently wait until this game is 50% off. That was the first message we got in this chat 2 hours before the stream even started.
That's crazy.
Yep.
Right. So that's basically what's going on. And I really think that this is part of it. But obviously, they're going to do everything they can to protect the game from being spoiled, right? So in any case, Resident Evil, overall, it's going to end up in a situation where they got 7 days before the game comes out, and people have to choose whether or not they're going to want to be spoiled or not. And I think a lot of people are choosing to be spoiled, ironically, because I'm seeing so much discussion about this. So many people are talking about the endings. There's 2 endings right now, and both of them are pretty stupid. Not only that, there's a weird, like, how let me see. There's a weird, like, retcon. I don't even know if you want to call it a retcon. It's not even a retcon. I'll say this. There is a weird decision in the game that it doesn't make any sense for the entirety of the Resident Evil franchise. They made a decision in this game, according to the leaks, that will change the foundation of everything.
And we'll get into what that decision is. That's when we'll talk about spoilers. But I'm going to disagree with Hypno here. It is in fact a retcon. Like by definition of what retcon is, retroactive continuity, changing the past, like changing your story's past to fit the story's present. It is a retcon.
thing you've ever known about Resident Evil all the way since the beginning. That's how big of a spoiler we're talking about right now. We're talking about a fundamental fucking change all the way to the beginning of the game, and it makes all the other main characters of the game look incompetent. It even makes the villains of the game look incompetent. It's just like, why did you do that? Right? Why did you decide to go with that? So
Is a
all
woman
I
in
gotta say
charge?
is if these
No, it's
leaks
somehow
are true,
worse.
which it looks like they are because they're fighting hard
truth?
against them. If these leaks are true, this is going to change everything with Resident Evil. And I think that the reason why they did this is because they want to continue making Resident Evil games with characters that everybody loves. They don't want to start fresh. They don't want to start new because they're worried that without the clout of older characters, that they're not going to be able to get very far. So I think that they did this ass pull. They did this ass pull to try to allow them to continue to make games after this. At least that's how I see it anyway. But anyway, tell you the spoilers. I'm not going to tell you the spoilers. There is no spoilers here whatsoever. If you want to go see the spoilers, go check it out online. You can see it for yourself. You can see it for yourself. But this is like Naughty Dog level spoilers. Do you guys remember when The Last of Us 2 got spoiled? Remember that? And
not only do I remember that, but I remember people coping so hard that they couldn't believe it, that the spoilers had to be fake. Like, when it was announced that Joel dies super early in the game, I don't know if you had any sort of online presence at the time, Cindy, or if you were palling around online or anything. The amount of cope from people that they didn't want to believe it was insane.
I was livid when I heard the rumor.
So apparently you were around. Excellent.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I was around. I just wasn't talking to a lot of people. I think I watched it on somebody's video.
Ghost of Valhalla says, would you say that this is as bad as The Last of Us 2 or less so? I have never been a fan of The Last of Us to begin with. In my opinion, this is worse. I would say, like obviously I'm biased because Resident Evil is my favorite video game franchise of all time. But I would say this is exponentially worse. The Last of Us only had 2 games, and all this buttfuckery happened in the second game. The spoilers that we'll get into in a minute retroactively destroy pretty much the entire franchise and the entire canon. We're talking 30 years of history. So I would say that this is exponentially worse than The Last of Us.
Jesus.
people were coping about there's no way that this is real. There's no way Joel dies, right? There's no way that he gets killed in the beginning. There's no way he gets killed by like a fucking 250-pound muscular female. Like there's no way, no way, no way. And people were coping for months, bro. People were like, there's no way that's going to happen. And then the game comes out and it plays exactly how the spoilers said. And people are dumbfounded. I think that this is going to be a Last of Us 2 situation for Resident Evil Requiem. I really do. And again, that's not to say that this game is not going to...
It will be story spoilers for you guys asking. I will let you know when we go into the spoilers, and then you can just come back maybe a few minutes later or whatnot if you don't want to hear them. But if I'm going to be real, guys, if you value this franchise, it is probably better for you to hear the spoilers now than it is playing the game.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Yeah, exactly. Rip the Band-Aid off. Exactly, Cindy.
Sell well because this game is going to sell well. It's not to say that the gameplay is going to be boring because I don't think that's going to be the case at all. I think the game will probably be fun for the most part. But from a narrative perspective in the history of Resident Evil, I don't know what they were thinking. I really don't. I can't wait till we can talk about it. I'll just leave it to you like that. I can't wait till we can talk about it. It's going to be wild. So we'll find out anyway what's going to happen. But we got about 7 days before we find out. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. And if you want to see the gameplay, I will be officially reviewing the game on Griffcast on the Hypnotic Gaming Live. You can come watch it there. Or if you don't...
Or you can watch it on my channel, whichever, just saying, no pressure.
Want to watch me? You can watch whoever your favorite gaming streamers are. I'm sure there are plenty of people who are going to be reviewing this game live for you to check out. And you'll see. You'll see what's going to happen.
Alrighty. So,
all right, guys.
Wrong button. So that is the
guys.
That's Hypnotic's video. I'm gonna link it in the chat for you guys. So now let's talk about the spoilers. Right? Let's talk about the spoilers. Make sure
you want to give Yeah, I was gonna say, you want to give people a second.
Yeah, so first of all, there's Hypnotic's video. Make sure you like, sub, the whole nine if you haven't. We are going to be talking about the spoilers now. There really isn't a lot to say on them, so it will only take a few minutes. So if you want to bounce out, I'd say come back in like 5 minutes or something, unless the discussion gets real hairy. We'll see. Put a spoiler banner on screen. That's a good idea. You're right. I can do that. I can put a spoiler banner on screen. There we go. Spoilers for Resident Evil 9 now. Alrighty. You guys have all been warned. So there's have you seen the trailers at all, Cindy? Like, do you know the story of Leon in this game thus far?
A little bit. Like, it looks like Leon might be infected.
He is. He is infected. He is infected with something called Raccoon City Syndrome. Apparently, all of the, or several of the, or most of the, whatever, of the few survivors of Raccoon City have a delayed infection in their body that all these years later, 20, 30 years later in game universe, his activates. And once that sleeper virus effectively activates, you're on borrowed time. You're going to die. There is no cure. That's it. You've got mere hours once the symptoms start showing themselves.
Okay, so shouldn't that mean like Jill dies as well and stuff like that?
That's one of the things a lot of people are saying is that, okay, what does this mean for Jill? What does this mean for Barry? What does this mean for Hunk? What does this mean for all these characters that were in Raccoon City? But it gets worse than that. So we all knew Leon was infected. The trailer more or less showed it off. We didn't know with what until like the second or third trailer. So Leon has literally got hours of life left as the game plays. The end of the game, there's two different endings. There's the bad ending, where this is what Hypno and I were correct. And to be fair, we thought this was going to be the ending no matter what. We did not know there was going to be multiple endings. So take a wild guess as to what happens in the bad ending.
Everybody dies?
Well, Leon dies. Yeah. Leon succumbs to the virus. Leon dies in the game.
Okay.
That is the better of the two endings.
Oh, sweet. Merciful. Okay.
So the actual ending, what we assume will be the canon ending, the main bad guy in this game, who is just some lowly Umbrella researcher, survived all these years because he fled Raccoon City. He fled Umbrella Corp. He stole a bunch of the research. And there was, turns out, a cure for all the virus stuff this whole time. All this 30 years and whatnot, there's always been a cure.
Are you fucking with? Oh my gosh.
So not only does that mean that makes Wesker incompetent, like Hypno was saying, because, Wesker, all those years of him being the big bad guy, he never knew this. Chris and Jill going to Russia to take down Umbrella in 2003 in the Umbrella Chronicles game. You're telling me that all their years fighting Umbrella, they never learned this? Umbrella fell all these years ago. The BSAA never found out about this. The U.S. government, somehow some random lowly researcher who worked for Umbrella back in 1998 was the only person that had access to this cure, and he stole it and he bounced out before the actual events of the original games. Now, with that information, guess what they do with Leon now that they have a cure?
Ooh, I have no idea.
So, mind you, these games age in real time. So Leon is about 52 years old at the time of this game.
Okay.
The cure de-ages him.
You're kidding me.
So he survives, he gets the cure, and it puts him back into like his 20s, 30s, give or take.
You'd have people who want to take that without having the virus.
Like, when Hypno says they're doing this just so they can keep these characters going, that is exactly what it is. They have to pull out this weird de-aging virus ass pull so that they can keep using these characters in future games.
That's the gayest thing I've heard in a while.
Yeah. So that is the major spoiler. And again, like in my opinion, that is way worse than Leon just succumbing to the virus and dying. I could almost respect them killing his character off if it were in a better game. But to just include this de-aging antivirus that has supposedly been around since 1998.
You'd have every politician on the planet fighting for that serum.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. In Resident Evil lore, after the fall of Umbrella, all these viruses and everything that Umbrella had been worked on started getting sold on the black market. Politicians did buy the viruses. World governments bought the viruses. Terrorist organizations bought the viruses. So you're telling me that after the fall of Umbrella, all this stuff goes on the black market. Somehow the cure never went on the black market? We never found out about a cure?
Yeah, that's true.
From a lore perspective, this makes no sense. It makes our villains, like Hypno said, incompetent because they apparently all missed this one massive thing that some random lowly researcher did. It makes our heroes incompetent because they missed the same thing. All these viruses, all these outbreaks and whatnot, apparently could have been 100% preventable because there was a cure this whole time. But there was a cure that somehow never found its way on the black market, even though all the other viruses did. The T virus, the G virus, the T abyss virus, the C virus, and go on, so on and so forth. Like, this is just, I'm so distraught over the state of this franchise.
I know there's a lot of games for the Resident Evil franchise, but is it really that difficult to have played them and then, I don't know, written down the stories and been like, okay, we can build off of this part here and actually keep it canon and we don't have to change a little, too much or be stupid about it. I mean, like, actually do your fucking job.
So when people were saying earlier that because of these leaks, they are just canceling their pre-orders, I mean, is that justifiable now that you know what's actually happened?
Oh, hell yeah. And it just makes me want to say, okay, look, it's just the first five games. I liked it when the most retarded thing about the series was that Chris Redfield punched a rock.
Agreed. I completely agree. And it's so funny to me because, like, the Resident Evil games, like Hypno said, ended with 5. You were asking how hard is it for them to go back and play their old games. Bro, there are plot threads from previous games, never been answered to this point. After Shinji Mikami, who was my favorite game creator in the history of game creation, after he left Resident Evil after 4, that's when it all went downhill. 5, like, yes, Shinji wasn't at the helm, but you could still tell it was the end to his story. And minus a couple things, I think they nailed it. If Resident Evil had never had another game after 5, I would have been satisfied. Wesker's dead. Chris and Jill get closure, even though Jill didn't get to handle the fucking rocket launcher to put Wesker down. But that's neither here nor there. Chris ends with this monologue about how, the whole futures we're fighting for. I don't need to explain 5 to you. You and I played 5 like 4 or 5 times together to completion. So you're very familiar with 5. That is how the series should have ended.
I completely agree. I also feel like, what was it? The 7th one? Was it the one with the house?
Which was effectively a reboot.
Yeah, that should have been a standalone game, like not part of the series, in my opinion.
So spoiler alerts are gone. Spoiler ticker is gone. We're done talking spoilers for anybody that may have left. But it is that's where we stand with this. That is the Resident Evil stuff. I actually thought I would be angrier talking about it, but I've had so many days to process all of this that I've kind of given up. I'm still going to play it on day 1. I'm going to have it beat on day 1 or day 2. I'm going to have it beat before Saturday Night Hypnosis so that I can give my honest review and criticisms of it. I'm debating whether I'll be streaming it or not. Part of me wants my first playthrough just to be, for me, off stream, but the other part of me is like, I already kind of know how I feel about this game. Why not just stream it? I wouldn't have bought this game. I wouldn't be playing this game because I shouldn't say I wouldn't have bought it. I didn't buy it. It was gifted to me by a viewer, and shout out to Mr. Rouge, or No Hearts Left. It was one of those two that got it for me. And I do truly appreciate that it was purchased for me. I appreciate that you guys gifted it to me, that you want me to play it, that you want me to give my review, and I will be doing so. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't even have fucking bought this game. And I've bought every single Resident Evil game, like practically ever.
Yeah. That's sad. I mean, you're such a big fan of
Big
Resident
enough fan to
Evil.
have it permanently marked on my body.
Yeah.
Like, it is where we're at.
We can't have nice things.
We can't have nice things.